I'm probably going to stir the pot on this one, but I'm a sucker for debate, so let's talk about this, shall we? What's up, Commander players? My name's Matt, and you're watching Top Commander. So if you couldn't tell by the YouTube thumbnail and the title, of course, of this video, yes, this video is all about why I believe that we should have Tolarian Academy removed from the Commander ban list. But before I get into that, if you wish to support this channel, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support this channel directly, be sure to visit patreon.com/topcommander. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick this off. So today's episode is going to be pretty easy one, pretty quick one to deal with, because this is a personal topic of mine that I feel like I just need to put it out there and get people recognize this and potentially see where I'm coming from with this. So, Tolarian Academy. It's one of, I believe it's only one of 2 lands on the Commander ban list. The other being Caracas, but that's on there for other reasons. So, Tolarian Academy is a legendary land that says tap, add 1 blue to your mana pool for each artifact you control. Now, if you've played Commander enough, this effect sounds pretty familiar, right? Gaia's Cradle? A $400 or $500 land that reads tap, add 1 green for each creature you control. Very similar, because they came out in the same block. As a matter of fact, it's part of a trio, so one that you probably haven't heard of very often is actually Serra's Sanctum. It's the legendary land that produces 1 white for each enchantment you control. They had one for each of these as a kind of a cycle. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the red or black legendary land was from that set, if there was one. So forgive me on that one. But, so when it comes to Tolarian Academy, why is that one on the ban list? For a couple of good reasons, I will admit, but can it come off the ban list? I believe so. I believe that there's a few cards on the ban list that we can take off, but let's focus on Tolarian Academy today. So, we already have a pseudo Tolarian Academy, and arguably a better version of it that costs some mana. If you played around the Ixalan block, you might recognize Storm the Vault. It's a legendary enchantment that costs 2, a red and a blue, that says whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage to an opponent, you create a treasure token, which you can tap and stack to produce any color of mana. And the last line of text on it is, at the end step of your turn, if you control 5 or more artifacts, you flip it. And it flips into the Vault of Catlicon, which is another legendary land that has 2 lines of text. It says tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and the second line, tap, add 1 blue of any color, or 1 blue for each artifact you control. So it's arguably a better Tolarian Academy because of the fact that if your artifacts get wiped off the board, you can still tap it for mana. And granted, it's only tapping for 1. So there are arguments to be had that you have a better version of it, or access to a better version of it, and a much cheaper version of it. But Tolarian Academy just produces blue. Any artifact-based deck that is in blue would want this. However, Storm the Vault does not go in every single artifact deck, because of the fact that you're in red and blue. Not every artifact deck is in red and blue. Now, most artifact decks are in blue, granted, but maybe you're running an Esper artifact deck. Maybe you're running an Azorius artifact deck. You know, not everybody is running red and blue, or a combination of colors with red involved. So, to use that as an argument, I feel is just, it doesn't work for me. Because when you look at, especially Storm the Vault compared to Tolarian Academy, you're now getting locked into 2 colors. And you may not be playing one of those colors. When you look at Gaia's Cradle, it taps for the green for each creature you control. Now, there's a legendary enchantment that is a technically budget alternative to Gaia's Cradle called Growing Rights of Itlamok. It's a legendary enchantment. When it comes into play, you get to search for, or you look at the top 4 of your library, reveal a creature from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom. And if you have 4 more creatures at the end step, it flips over to Itlamok Cradle of the Sun, which reads as follows. First line is tap to add 1 green to your mana pool. Second line is tap to add 1 green for each creature you control. So, green decks can run a Gaia's Cradle, granted if they have the budget, and a Growing Rights of Itlamok, especially if they're creature based. They're going to run that. So, why do they get 2 Gaia's Cradles, essentially, but artifacts only get the 1? Now, however, people will argue about Urza Lord High Artificer being mono blue, because he costs 2 and 2 blue. That's it for him. It's a creature that he has a couple of lines of text, but the more important part about him for this argument is the part where you can use his ability to tap artifacts you control to produce 1 blue. Yes, you can use that. However, there's a problem with that, especially at more casual tables. You're not going to use Urza to ramp, because everybody sees Urza as, oh, that's one of them powerhouse, you're going to produce infinite mana, kill everybody, so as soon as he hits the table, they immediately gun for it and kill it, or kill you, and you get spiked out of the game because of 1 card. You don't even have to be using that card for that reason. Your deck could have no infinite combo shenanigans, no infinite mana producing, and they will still spike out Urza. And that leads to some feel-bads, because people aren't going to want to play in a game where they're getting spiked out because of 1 card when they're just trying to have fun and do some stupid shenanigans. Or just something goofy at the table. That's the version of the casual player. Now, when you look at it in CDH terms, absolutely they're right. They need to spike that player out of the game or kill Urza quickly as possible. But why don't we have Tolarian Academy? I've even seen people make the argument, well, it's just there's too many 0-cast artifacts that you can throw out and ramp Tolarian Academy out. Okay. Granted. But here's some arguments why it should be taken off the ban list. 1. It's a legendary land. It can't be your commander. And it is in the 99. You have to find it. Same with Gaia's Cradle. You have to find it. And then play it. And you gotta hope that your board state stays intact long enough. Gaia's Cradle is legal. It does basically the same thing. Now, with that being said, is it easier for Tolarian Academy to build up because artifacts? Yes, because unfortunately people are more worried about board wipes that destroy creatures. A lot of people don't worry about board wipes that destroy artifacts. If you're in red, run that Vandal Blast. White, you're running Austere Command and Cleansing Nova. You have modes that can get rid of artifacts and enchantments. These are things that people need to worry about. These are things that people need to consider when deck building. Don't worry about just the cards to blow up creatures, because artifact-based decks can definitely hurt you and bite you in the ass later. Now, when it comes to that argument, I see where people are coming from, because it is easy to get artifacts out, because especially with mana rocks, because you play your mana rock and that also taps for mana, which you can potentially chain together to make more artifacts on your field, and it's very easy to get to say 7, 9, 10 mana. Why did I use those CMC specifically? 7 mana and it produces blue mana, Overloaded Cyclonic Rift. That's one of the boogeymans of the format. Could potentially end the game, get rid of the whole table. So there's an argument to be had that Tolarian Academy just enables Cyclonic Rift too easily. It might also be made, the argument might also be made that it also enables Expropriate too easy, because it's 9 mana and it's a blue spell that has the potential to win the game. Now, and even at the 10 mana slot, I believe Time Stretch is 10 mana and you get to take 2 extra turns. Now, are these reasons to unban it? No. But I am showing both sides of this coin. People are worried about the time stretches, the expropriates, and the cyclonic rifts being too easily accessible through a Tolarian Academy. But these cards, all of them can be countered. People have to run counterspells. If you're in blue, run a counterspell. If you're in red, you better be running Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast when people are playing blue. I'm just saying, these are things that people have to think about. Because making the argument, oh, it just makes it too easy for them to do this. Have you seen some of the decks in this format? There are decks that make a whole bunch of things too, quote-unquote, easy. It kind of, just sucks that, especially, so I'm also a little bit biased about Tolarian Academy. I will get to that in a minute. But a card like Narset's Reversal, if you get hold of Narset's Reversal, hold it in your hand the entire game. Somebody goes to play Cyclonic Rift, Narset's Reversal. Punish them for it. Counterspell, very simple card to use to stop shenanigans. Expropriate. Use that Narset's Reversal. If they're going to try to win with that, use it. Bounce that thing back to their hand. You get the Expropriate now. And then you can, there's so many things. Time Stretch. Narset's Reversal, somebody's Time Stretch. Take 2 extra turns. Punish them for it. Stop them from doing it. And it could also potentially help you win the game through a counterspell that doesn't counter. There's also the fact that these are still spells that can be countered. Even if they're using this to ramp out Blightsteel Colossus, counter it. Or just a Swords to Plowshares will take care of him. Kozilek and any of the Eldrazi Titans, they can be gotten rid of. If you're running the right answers in your deck. That is the thing. Most people are not running the proper answers to the bigger threats that everybody talks about as oh my god, this is super powerful. Run the correct answers for it. They're out there. You know they're out there, but you still don't run the proper answers. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the next point. It's still a land. This is my big argument, because we have seen statistics before about how it appears that the format is self-policing, especially on the casual side. The casual players are pretty good about self-policing. So, when it comes to something like that, if Tolarian Academy is that big of a deal, run the strip mines and the wastelands, and if they're doing something really busted, doing some really crazy shenanigans, like finding a way to untap and tap and untap it, you should be running stuff like Strip Mine, Wasteland, Dust Bowl, Ghost Quarter, Tectonic Edge, Field of Ruin. I'm not saying you have to run all 6, but you should be running a couple of them. I run a Wasteland and a Strip Mine in my 4-color artifact deck that I wish had the Tolarian Academy that I own in it. Because, let's think about this. I'm a damage-based deck, Glacial Chasm is my worst enemy, so I always pack in my Strip Mine and Wasteland. I have budget built decks, well, slightly more budget built decks. My artifact deck is not budget. Slightly more budget friendly decks that run the Tectonic Edge, the Ghost Quarter, the Field of Ruin, just because of the fact that I know that there are problematic lands. I have to get rid of those lands. Everyone worries about, oh, but the social contract, you're not supposed to destroy lands. Here's the problem with that. The social contract is no mass land destruction. Nobody wants to see the Armageddon hit the field. Nobody wants to have a spell resolve that destroys everybody's lands. That's the social contract. Targeted land removal is okay. I'm not expecting somebody, even if they did unban it, if I play a Tolarian Academy and I get a little out of control, I fully expect somebody to strip mine it away or take it away and kill that land. When somebody gets out of control with a Gaia's Cradle and has a billion creatures, I'm going to Cyclonic Rift the board and take care of the creature problem if I don't have my Strip Mine or Wasteland. If somebody drops a Glacial Chasm and is causing problems and I can't get to them, I'm going to Strip Mine or Wasteland it. When you look at all of these points, should that card be on the ban list? If everybody chips in and really thinks about it. Now, granted, is the card somewhat pricey? Tolarian Academy, I think, sitting around $40 to $50 in that range, depending on where you're shopping. If they were to unban it, say, tomorrow, what would that happen? What would happen to that price? I guarantee you that thing will shoot up and just skyrocket out of nowhere. But, I mean, but that's not to say that it shouldn't, because Gaia's Cradle is sitting at like $400 or $500. That's a gross amount of money for one land. Same with the dual lands. Trust me, I know. Reprints. But, yeah, there's too many points and counterpoints to everything. I don't see what the problem is. I feel like this land has been on the ban list for so long and it needs to come off. Especially when you consider everything. It's in the 99. You have to get it, or draw it, tutor it. What's your other option? Aggressively mulligan down to like 3 cards in hand just to get a Tolarian Academy? At that point, you may not even be able to use it because you may not have an artifact that you can play with it. These are all points that I feel like Tolarian Academy needs to come off the ban list. This is something and I'm also partly biased. Like I said, now to explain the reason why I'm biased. I've owned a copy of Tolarian Academy for a little while now, but I can't use it, and I wish that I could. But it's on the ban list. I have a 4-color artifact deck that I enjoy playing. It's very casual, but it's on the high end of that power scale for casual. Let's play it that way. Maybe it's just the way that I pilot it. I'm not sure. But I know that it gives people a run for their money. But I have this copy of Tolarian Academy that I can't use with it. I really want to be able to use this land. So this is kind of selfish reasons as well. I'm biased. I'm also an artifact player. I love artifacts. I know what artifacts are capable of. I know what would happen with Tolarian Academy. But I'm saying that it's not nearly as bad as people want to believe. Is there a way to make it super busted and just cause problems? Potentially. But then again, if the format is as self-policing as people say that it is, then it should come off the ban list with no problem. I don't see a problem with it coming off the ban list. But those are all of my points about this topic. Go ahead, blow up the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think. Should it come off the ban list? Do you feel like I made a valid argument on this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to join in on those comments as well, because I am very passionate about this argument. Tolarian Academy is one of my favorite lands. Blue is an awesome color, and of course, artifacts. Gotta love them artifacts. But let me know down in the comments below what you guys think, and I will see you guys next video.